Hey guys, what's up? Once again, coming to you live on a Friday night, on a blustery Friday night or a warm Friday night, depending on where you are in the country. But thank you guys for tuning in right now. I'm here rocking out with Matt, CT3. For those of you who are big fans, couldn't be here today. He's got a college retreat going on this weekend, so unfortunately he will not be here. But he'll be back next week. But I'm rocking out with Matt. So Matt, introduce yourself, and then we could jump into these topics.
Hello. It's Matthew Mack here. Going at these topics and this Friday. Happy opening day here in the world of baseball. Can't wait to talk baseball and the back end of basketball season in this draft. And also, Colin was right. Tar Heels did win. Kudos to you, sir. Kudos to you.
What? Yep. Tar Heels. I told y'all. Don't doubt the team that loses the heartbreaking fashion. We will get to them. To my Tar Heels fans, go Heels as always. But we gonna get to that. Matter of fact, let's start with that. Man, UNC won the national title. Uh, won the national title. But before we get there, we're gonna talk about this later. Kudos to you, Matt. South Carolina Pride. South Carolina Pride, man. You won on the women's side. South Carolina Pride. There it is. With a coach from North Philly. There it is, man. South Carolina Pride. Kudos to you, sir. But we're going to start with UNC was the national title, man. What does this mean for college basketball? Tell me what you think.
First of all, um, first of all, it was a good. First of all, it was a good game nonetheless. From beginning to end. As far as college basketball is concerned, what what sticks out to me more than anything else, honestly, and it's been talked about for a few years now, is they need to pay these athletes. I'm just gonna come out and say it. They need to pay these athletes more. Um, that's another story for another time. Other than that, as far as college basketball is concerned, you see that Rory Williams finally got his third title and everything else. Uh, does nothing for me. I mean, to me, does nothing. I mean, even though one of the top schools in the country as far as their basketball program is concerned, to win one is an accomplishment within itself. But particularly it being the University of North Carolina is it's no shocker. It's no brainer. It's a no brainer. I mean, hey, they played like the better team. However, Gonzaga gave him a run, and then down the stretch, basically Gonzaga did not do the job. They did not do what they needed to do to come out on top. And I admit I was rooting for Zaga to win. So, but it was a good game nonetheless. But as far as what it does for college basketball, it does nothing. I mean, I believe it's not just the play on the court. It's just more of look, the recruiting, the way teams get their money, the way the NCAA is hyping up these so-called player athletes, you know. But as far as the play on the floor, that's nothing. I mean, the product is better, has gotten better over the years. But as far as administration wise, it's a money pit. But that's another story for another time. So that's where I stand on it. It is exciting to watch games, but it really does nothing. That's how I feel about it.
Well, once again, I want to say congrats to North Carolina, to its fans, Tar Heel faithful. Congratulations to my North Carolina Carolinians who needed a win. There you go. Um, it's great for UNC, man, especially after how they lost last year. This is great. This is what men's college basketball needed, a redemption story. And sure, in the back of everybody's mind, as was pointed out on the broadcast during the Final Four game, UNC does have some academic violations hanging over his head. And honestly, you know, I think that any violation is wrong. But for real, all these college programs, even the most academically sound ones, probably have some violations that are coming. And I'm not belittling the violations. I'm just saying, what's the saying in college sports where we like to say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So every major college sports program, I can think of some. University of Miami, who else? Mississippi, Oregon. There's a bunch of people that have done that, that have cheated. But like Matt said, it's a story for another day. But North Carolina is great, man. It's some redemption story. It's what they needed. Like this, the first time in college basketball, probably in a while, that both Carolinas won a title in college basketball. South Carolina won on the women's side, North Carolina won on the men's side. And you had a first time in history on the women's side, the sixth time in history on North Carolina's side. And this might be the best job that Roy Williams ever did, man, because this is a redemption story. Not only that, but there were no one and done big freshman players on North Carolina, so it's good for college basketball in the fact of you can preach to people that you see this, like Gonzaga was made up of seniors and juniors. North Carolina was made up of seniors and juniors who will all be top draft picks, right? In some way, if they decide to come out. But this is great for college basketball because this could convince some people to stay in the sport. And to Matt's point, yeah, they need to get paid. We've talked about this on this program before. It is amazingly idiotic that these coaches can make $5 million, $10 million a year, and the NCAA itself can make $1 billion on the backs of these players and not give them anything, and just give the cop out answer of, "Oh, we give you your $40,000 a year for 4 years to go to this school, and that's all you need." Right? Even though these athletes spend more time in the gym than they do in their classrooms. But that's a story for another day. And you have all that. But North Carolina, it's a great story for college basketball. It's both teams really. Hats off to Gonzaga. Like I said, this is great for the sport of college basketball because it was two experienced teams. There's no one and done player on either of these teams. And it was great. And I think that's something that gets lost in college basketball. And of course, you're always going to have your one and dones, but the best college athletes, for real, then the best NBA pros, I'm going to go out on a limb here, but it's really not a limb, are the people that stay 3 to 4 years because they wind up coming in and being complete. And it's great for college basketball to have these experienced teams and not be dominated by one and dones. You can get back in here, Matt.
Well, I'll admit the fact that I did want to see North and South Carolina get it in. I mean, that's my guilty pleasure. But also, I agree with you on the redemption story thing here, which is becoming more of a ongoing running theme in sports right now. Thanks, Tom Brady. Thank you. But also, for college, it does need to clean itself up. Other than that, SMU's death penalty in football during the 90s, 80s, 90s. The one thing about, particularly, yeah, it's a great product. Thanks to the NBA for forcing players to play at least 1 year college ball which, by the way, I think is a dumb rule within itself, but that's neither here nor there. So it does that NBA rule does help college basketball a week, but at the same time, you know, I think this season in particular, I think for me as a fan, I don't watch a whole lot of college basketball, but watching it, particularly the Villanova's run uh, and everything else, particularly South Carolina, which for me, kind of like when I was down there a few years ago, they were terrible. They were. I think it was I forgot the coach's name. I think it was his first year there, and he built that program. He really built that program, and I think that program is gonna be in your face for quite some time, for as long as he's there. So yeah, if my thing is you want to keep these kids in schools for as long as you can before before they declare for the draft, say their junior year. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as the NCAA is concerned, it needs a whole entire reform, everything. Because if you're making all this money, like I said, going off topic a little bit, you're making all this money, you gotta pay these players. But I'm gonna leave that alone. There, I said it.
I definitely agree that there are some big problems in college basketball. But like I said, pay the players. Uh, but yeah, man, don't let that take away from the good product that's going on. That was put on the thing. Even though they were missing shots and everything, but it was a good game by two very experienced teams. Pay the players always, if ever more. But congrats to UNC riding the wave to a championship, you know, getting the victory a year later. And for real, if it wasn't for that Chris Jenkins shot, they might have had two titles and be a seven-time champ. But they have six. They're up there, top three teams in titles in the NCAA. So it's going to be a good time in Chapel Hill for the next few weeks until October. So definitely get into it, enjoy it. As we always start this show, that was one of our hot takes. Now we're going to talk our non-sports one, as we always do. It's been a while since we talked this, but there are some things that happen in the world that Trump, pun intended, that Trump sports, and what happened in Syria, praying for Syria, what happened this week with Assad or whoever, Assad or the Russians, gassing innocent women, children, and some men, whether accidentally or intentionally. Still don't know, wasn't there. And just the loss of life was very horrible to see, And one thing I do want to say before I get into this, for those of you, because I see it a lot on my Facebook and my Twitter, sometimes when we see dying children gasping for their last breath of air on TV, I don't really want to see it on my Facebook or on my Twitter page, because it comes to a point where it becomes, for lack of a better term, torture porn, and that's something that I want to see. I know. You see a video, it interests you. You want people to see it, but some of us watch the news enough and see it on Facebook enough that we don't want to see it again. We see those 5 children gasping for air once, we've seen it enough. That's one thing I wish most people would stop doing: sharing horrible videos like those of atrocities and other things online. But I digress. Matt, I'm gonna let you take the question, which is, what's your reaction to the Syria chemical attack? Did 45 do the right thing? And then you could just go in on Trump if you want to, like we always do. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, where do I begin? First of all, don't you need congressional approval for these attacks? That's number one. Oh, however, this mess has been going on since the Obama administration. So, for me, I was trying to understand more in depth of how this come about, and it's for me as a human being, just to see people dying and suffocating from nerve gas is what bother anybody. If it doesn't, you're not human. So, with that being said, here you go. I'm very skeptical of what President Trumpkin is doing. I'm very skeptical. I've noticed that he has toned down his rhetoric over the course of weeks, if not days, because you realize you can't do what you said you're going to do when you're presidential campaign. Some of it, not all. Some of it, that is. So with Syria, I mean, I noticed he said stuff about Syria, what he would do, what he wouldn't do. Now it's here. What are you gonna do? And now you launched 50 some odd missiles to Syria and to damage, I think, some of their factories and everything. But at the same time, like I said, I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of how he's handling the situation. I'm very skeptical of his inner circle and how they are disseminating this information to him and the decisions that he's making. I'm not saying I'm sold. I'm concerned, particularly in retaliation. And you got people being as grim as predicting World War III or the start of said World War III. But like I said, I'm very highly skeptical of what may happen. Also, the Republican Senate, I hate right now because what they just did was pretty much change the rules. Change the rules pretty much favor them. And to me, it's children. It's children in the Senate. 51 semi-senators, 52, they're acting like children. They're acting like babies. It's driving me nuts. It's driving me insane. And it's like, okay, the Democrats have their filibuster on their Supreme Court justice. And rightfully so. And they, we're going to get them in anyway. And you just rewrote basically the Constitution. Good job. So that was a side rant. But other than that, I'm very skeptical of what President Trump is doing, and I'm still skeptical about it. So as of right now, I'm just watching to see how this goes. That's all I'm saying. This whole thing is still a mess, and we're in the 70 some odd day of this presidency, and I'm not sold. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
As the resident was one of the resident political commentators on this podcast. Yes, I do. I do two things very well: sports and politics. Uh, I want to say this right. My thing with this is obviously you kind of knew something was going to happen because Donald Trump is a very is the one thing that you don't want to be as a leader. Very impulsive, right? And so one thing that Donald Trump is, even though he is our president, our president, he is very one of the things that you don't want your leader to be is impulsive. And my problem with this isn't the fact that he decided to tell the military to shoot to blow Syria to missile Syria to death with 59 plus missiles. And only kill 6 people, which I know it makes it sound like I'm trivializing 6 deaths, but with 59 missiles, you expect more people to be dead if you're aiming for one Air Force base with 59 missiles, 59 Tomahawk missiles. And you only get the target. And then comes the news that, because of this communications thing that we have going on with Russia when it comes to Syria, the military is obligated to let Russia know what's going on. So they told Russia an hour before that, you might want to get all your people out of this Air Force base where we're going to bomb it, right? And Russia and Putin, being the shady, shadowy figure that he is, called his boy aside and said, yo, America's going to bomb this airfield that you launched the plane and got the chemical weapons from. I'm going to move all my important stuff out. I suggest you do the same. And so you had ABC News, they didn't report this after it happened because, some stuff don't break until after missiles happen. But they had eyewitnesses saying that Russia and Syria together were moving out personnel, all the important stuff out of that Air Force base before the attack even happened. Because Donald Trump, the man who says you don't want to give your enemies a heads up, gave his enemies a heads up that, yo, missiles are coming. Get out. And so, lo and behold, we have damage to the airfield. We set Syria back maybe a couple weeks, couple months, maybe aside now. Doesn't say, and I listen. One of the things that Obama did a lot was he was the drone president. That's what he did. He droned his enemies and everything. That's what he did. That's what he was. He was the drone president. He didn't want to use military force. He wanted to shoot missiles in the countries through drones. He's very successful at killing people through drones, right? And Donald Trump decided that, bunk that. I'm just going to use ships and missiles. And to correct that, he needs congressional approval if he's going to do a longer term thing like war. If he's not going to declare war on Syria, then he has 48 hours to launch some strikes, but he can't do nothing that involves putting boots on the ground without congressional approval. He can bomb it as much as he wants, which is an unfortunate loophole in the Constitution. But that's a topic for another day. But you have all that, and Donald Trump, this is great for him on two sides. It's great for him. Give him some credit. It's great for him because it takes all the Russia stuff and all the stuff about how his people, whether you believe Russia hacked into the election and did things to help Trump win or not, with each passing day, we get a new person in his administration that has a Russian contact and doesn't report it. Said, I met with the Russian ambassador, blah, 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 blah. Right? And, most of these people, they don't report it. And then we're left saying, well, what are you hiding? Why didn't you report it? Every day. For him, this knocks that right off. You'll get the war economy boost, which happens every time. And as I've said, it's just like another hashtag Kylo is right. I told y'all that you can't have a Republican president without some type of military encounter popping off. So here's our military encounter, 73 days into a new presidency or however long it is. And you have all that, and some of you may think, oh, it's the deep state. Oh, I've never seen, I don't know why anybody would say this, they've never seen Donald Trump read off a teleprompter, but because he's been reading off teleprompters since he became president. But that's a story for another day too. So Donald Trump, he separated himself from Obama a little bit. And I think that, we just didn't have, and this is why I didn't like hearing. I didn't like hearing that, and one thing that I think was not taken into account is that it's not a coincidence that, a day after Donald Trump and his administration, people in his administration like Secretary of State Tillerson, Nikki Haley and all them say it's up to basically both of them said it's up to the Syrian people. No longer is it the U.S.'s number one priority to get rid of Assad. If you need any more evidence that, Donald Trump might be too cozy with Russia, the fact that, we're on the reverse side here, where it's Russia propping up the dictator and the U.S. is trying to get rid of the dictator, the fact that we're on the opposite sides here should tell you, who's cozy with Russia and who's not, And so, just to give people a little history if I let Matt come in here. Russia, this is the only time you'll really see Russia and Iran working together is when it comes to Syria. Because Iran wants Syria to be powerful because Syria serves as a buffer to the United States. Because, Iran doesn't really trust the United States, especially with who's in office right now. They really liked Obama better than Donald Trump because Obama was diplomacy first, war last, and Trump is really more whatever impulsively I feel. And a lot of his people in his cabinet are war hawks and people who want to go to war with Iran over their nuclear program. And this is why you heard Trump early in the thing saying stuff like Iran's the enemy. I don't know why Obama negotiated the nuclear program. I even heard some people on the thing that were close to people like Mattis and others who said, like, after he's done bombing Syria, he should go over there and shoot up Iran's airplanes and stuff and provoke them. Why you would want to provoke Iran is beyond me. But Iran and Russia both Russia needs the oil from Syria because Russia is still very much a poor country because Obama gave them one last death wish with them sanctions. And you have to realize that everything that Putin does as far as putting Trump in office and everything else is to get those sanctions because those sanctions are killing Russia right now because the sanctions on their oil. So it's killing Russia because that's their main import. So everything Russia does is to weaken Europe, weaken the United States, and ultimately get those sanctions off them. And Syria and Assad is a great buffer for the United States because it keeps us from really encroaching anymore on Iran and Iran's territory. And then and Russia can have a presence and have growing influence, even though they're a really poor country, right? So, that's what you got to look at when it comes to these things. I tell people all the time, the world is more complicated than you give it credit for. A lot of you have these people that are conspiracy theorists. They think the elites want to start World War III because they benefit from it when all the elites live over here. And so why they will want a World War III that will bring China, Russia, and Iran together against the United States and England and France and all these other countries is just stupid, especially since most of them live in Britain, United States, or anywhere else. Kind of stupid, kind of defeats the purpose of a conspiracy theory. But, that I digress. So good for Donald Trump for, trying to separate himself from Obama, looking powerful on the world stage, getting all that stuff out there. But to be said, man, he really called, not him, but the people around him really caused this by giving Assad basically the green light to do this by saying, it's no longer a priority for us to get rid of you. he kind of did this himself by banning these women and children and keeping them in that country and basically setting them up to have something like this happen. This is kind of all Donald Trump fixing what Donald Trump messed up. And that Syria was a messed up situation before that. Obama did his best. He was stopped 2 times from military action, and even President Trump deterred him. Those tweets are coming back up. How he tried to deter Obama from going in, but the first chance he got, he's trying to blow up Syria. But Matt, I'm gonna let you get back in here.
No, I was enjoying that too, actually, because first of all, I'm laughing back here because the fact that Donald Trump just cannot seem to get out of its own way. That's literally the running theme here. The man just can't get out of his own way, and the fact of the matter is, I mean, conspiracy theorists, they're funny too, but that's another story as well. As far as the decision making, it's more like, okay, you gotta put your money where your mouth is now. You really have to put your money where your mouth is. Are you for the government of Syria or are you for the rebels? And pretty much Obama did, I want to say, skate the fence a little bit, but he didn't want, like you said, he did not want troops on the ground. And for me personally, like the way I feel about it is I'm glad there weren't any. But also the fact that, you have to remember ISIS is in the picture in Syria too. So you had 2 options. Who's the biggest threat? ISIS or the Syrian government? Who's the bigger threat? And from what I understand right now, the attention, this Obama administration, went from Syria, Assad, to ISIS. That was the bigger attention. Which, even though the Syrian government kind of like started to lose a little power, I think it bought them time to do this. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a civil war, and I think, personally, in my opinion, if it's a civil war between Syria and their rebels, I'll stay out of it. That is their problem. It is not my problem. It is not my at all. If people want to come in for this escape stuff, fine. But don't bring the rhetoric. Don't bring the rhetoric and nonsense, that could cause American conflict. But my thing is this: it is their problem. It is their conflict. If I know the Americans are supposed to side with the rebels, but and the Russians are siding with the Syrian government. Go figure. So, with that being said, look, it is not my problem. Y'all hash it out yourselves. If you need help, we'll be here. Till then, y'all on your own. That's where I think that we're at one point, and now you got warmongers in this piece. It's like we can't allow ourselves to be in this conflict that really isn't going to end no time soon. There is no end in sight. So, no, I'm as America, stay out of it.
Yeah, I agree with Matt in this. We don't really have the stomach for another useless Middle East war. Donald Trump, whatever you do, don't listen to the generals when they tell you you need to do the same thing in North Korea. You need to go to Iran and start blowing up their airfields and everything else. Let me tell you something. We do not want a war with Russia and China because you decide to prop up and piss off each country because you decide you want to destroy the order of things with both of them having their respective dictators that they like as buffers to their to stopping American interests. Like I said, the world is a complicated place. This is not reality TV. You can't be listening to Steve Bannon. You can't be listening to these people on Twitter who think they know stuff but don't really. Can't be listening to nobody, man. The world is more complicated than a lot of people know. If you don't pay attention, you're doing. If you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. Do not get into a useless war in the Middle East, which will piss off Russia. And do not go into North Korea thinking you could do the same thing in North Korea that you did in Syria and not expect China to respond when China has already told you since you got elected that they will take anything you say as an act of war. You are a provocateur in China. And for those of you that don't know what a provocateur is, that's this. China takes everything Donald Trump says seriously and as an act of war. You want to know what a weapon of mass destruction is? We have one in the White House. That's what we have. To China, that's what he is. China has already said it. They've said it through their dictator, through their president and everything else that he talked about China or China as he likes to call it as like a dog during the campaign, and China has not forgotten. The Chinese are not happy. Y'all better get ready for George W. Bush levels of China, where China was just isolationist, and really China didn't really start coming and dealing with America until Obama got in office, because they had somebody who they could actually talk to, and somebody who didn't have warmongers in their cabinet to prejudice them against the different countries that these people want to go to war with. That's my final thought on it. If you're going to go to war, Donald, if you're going to use military force, I don't want to say war because I really don't want to get into a useless war in the Middle East again. But if you're going to use military force, use it wisely. I'm glad you responded. I would have rather be diplomatically than shooting Tomahawk missiles into a country and just using longitude and latitude and hoping you hit the right target. Is not what I call good use of force. But hey, you got the job done. You damaged the airfield. You set aside back a couple of months, and you got the Russian connections off the front page of the news and off of Facebook and Twitter. Good job. Next topic. Matt, we done. Are we done on Trump?
If I keep going, I might gag.
All right, we move it on then. All right, Matt. So will the Cavs keep the number one spot? The Cavs just lost to the Hawks. So will the Cavs keep the number one spot in the East? Go ahead, Matt.
Let me check here. Will the Cavs hold the number one spot? Let me double check here. They better. I'm just reading yesterday's paper. Yesterday, they were a game out, and he said Cleveland lost. Well, I'm gonna say this to you. If they don't shape up and play defense, they're in trouble. But at the same time, I'm more worried about Boston than Cleveland. Because that team is scary. In my opinion, that's a very scary team, along with, believe it or not, Toronto. But if Cleveland doesn't shape up and play like they're supposed to play, they're going to limp into the playoffs in some deep trouble. So my view on it is like, can they hang on to the one seed? Possibly. It's a possibility. But let me see. Tomorrow, Boston plays Charlotte. No, Cleveland has an off day. So with that being said, it's like, look, this team's in. If they don't get their act together now, this team will be in serious trouble. I mean, serious trouble. So, but that number one seed is still up for grabs, basically. Still up for grabs. So if look, I say it clear, defense wins games, and defensively is. I haven't seen their games lately, but from what I understand, your defense is not where it needs to be right now. So if there's a switch for some strange reason, they better turn that switch right now.
Here's my thing when it comes to this, right? I said it last week. I'll say it this week. You know, when you are a bottom five team in defensive efficiency, that's not even overall defense. That's just saying that you can't even hold your opponents to a respectable shooting percentage. And against a team like Boston, where all they do is shoot threes, that is not a good thing. You know, and we've seen this before, right? We see an unbeatable juggernaut. We just saw this last weekend with UConn. Like, the coach had been telling anybody who would listen for a while that this is the weakest team that he's had just for lack of experience and lack of star power. But they were dominating. They hadn't lost the game. But he was saying that that we have some weaknesses. This is the weakest team that I've ever taken to a Final Four, right? And then they wound up getting beat by Mississippi State, and the juggernaut lost after not losing the game until the Final Four. Now I'm seeing similar similarities to UConn. I know it's women versus men, but it's still all basketball, and there are some similarities here. Much like UConn would go to sleep on defense. And the Cavaliers, it seems like, sleep through defense a lot lately. And since the beginning of the season, really, they've been lazy on defense, right? Basically relying on the skill of their top three all-stars, right? And right now, what the Cavaliers are finding out is even if you have LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, that doesn't mean that their offensive power is going to beat these very offensively focused teams that you have in the East. Boston is an offensive juggernaut. So are the Washington Wizards. Shouts out to you, Tristiania. You have the top three teams in the East are all teams known for their offense more than their defense. But Boston is one of the top three defensive teams in the NBA. The Wizards are more in the middle, right? And the Cavs are at the bottom, right? And if you can't play defense and you can't hold your opponents down, I don't care if you have LeBron James. I said this on the podcast last week. I'll say it this week. LeBron James is getting old, and it's showing, right? Young LeBron James would never have his team as a bottom five defense. This might be the worst defensive team LeBron has ever taken to the playoffs. And if this is the worst and the weakest Cleveland Cavaliers team since the 3 years, I'm gonna say this. This is my hot take. The Cleveland Cavaliers, if they don't get it together, will lose to Boston or the Wizards in the Eastern Conference Finals. And if they play the Wizards, they will definitely lose because the Wizards have beaten the Cavs every time they played them this season. So they are undefeated every time they play the Cavaliers. So the Cavaliers do not want to see the Wizards, and they need to keep that number one seed so they don't have to see the Wizards until the Eastern Conference Finals. Because if they get that 2 seed and they have to see the Wizards in the second round, they're going to have a very hard time. There will be no sweeps this year. Cleveland will work for it if they get to the finals this year, right? So when you have a bottom five defensive team, you're going to have to do a lot. You're going to have to hope that LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving all turn it on and become and do like do like a complete 180 and become different people when the playoffs start in a couple of weeks. Because if they don't do that and this team continues to be lazy on defense, turning the ball over, leaving people wide open for threes, not getting rebounds, it's over, man. Because right now, the three most consistent players are Tristan Thompson, LeBron James, who I said is aging, and you can see it in the defensive stats. You might not see it in the offensive stats, but you can see it in the team stats. And Iman Shumpert. And two of those players you can't rely on offensively. So, this is quite possibly the weakest team, the weakest Cleveland Cavaliers team. Matter of fact, might even be the weakest team LeBron James has ever taken to the playoffs. And as we've seen what's been going on with redemption in sports lately with Clemson, North Carolina, and most likely what will happen with the Warriors this year, you've got to be on your P to Qs because the Warriors are on a 13-game win streak. They are singularly focused on getting that title after losing it to LeBron last year. So LeBron and Coach Lue and all these other Cleveland Cavaliers front office people are going to have to figure out what they're going to do to turn that defensive switch on, because if they don't turn that defensive switch on and they don't get the number one seed, they have to play Boston in the second round, they might lose in the second round. Go ahead, Matt.
But I said once, I'll say it again. Defense wins games. And I'm going to keep this short here and to the point. I see Cleveland going to get that one seed. I believe they'll have that one seed. And they're probably going to limp into the playoffs. Literally limp into it. I'm sorry. I don't see it getting past the second round. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it. The way they're playing, they're not getting past the second round. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I thought I had a hot take. I don't see them getting past the second round, or I think they'll make it to the conference finals, but that all depends on if they don't have to play if they don't have to play Washington. I ain't even worried about Boston. They gotta play Boston and they're worn out from a second round matchup against the Wizards. Then they're definitely not going far. So you don't know. That's why they play the games, but there has never been a team in the bottom five of defense in the NBA that's made it to the finals. Just so y'all know what the Cleveland Cavaliers are working against. All right, so moving right along to our next topic. Matt, are we going to have co-MVPs in the NBA?
I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. No, and hell no. It won't. Because look, the more I'm looking at it, the more I see this, the more I'm trying to take in the numbers, the more I see the body of work. I don't see it. I just don't see it because let's be clear on this. To have the most triple doubles since Oscar Robertson does not intrigue me. It doesn't. And again, looking at the stats and looking at where the team is, Oklahoma City is, I believe, holding 6 in the Western Conference. MVP, if you try to be an MVP like season, your team should be 6 in the Western Conference. That's OKC. So no. Cool. Leonard, he's hurt. Golden State, no, San Antonio. There. Harden, I'm sorry. Harden, he's in that conversation, but I believe, honestly, Harden's a better candidate than Russell Westbrook. I'm sorry. Bodywork says, yes, you had triple doubles. You have the most triple doubles in probably league history, but put your team at 6. That you kind of over, in my opinion, kind of sort of, but not really, but you kind of sort of overcompensating the fact that no Kevin Durant, no problem, and you shooting those triple doubles. We all know you're talented. We get it, but conversation, yes. To win the award, no. So, but to share an award is an atrocity. No. So, with that being, you can throw in Steph Curry, but he's had somewhat down in the air. You can throw in LeBron James. He's in it every year. But I don't think he should get it either because of the fact that his team ain't playing defense. So you're not playing defense, you get no reward. No reward for you. So, with that being said, here you go. As of right now, James Harden should win this sucker outright. You know, if Leonard wasn't hurt, it'd be a whole different story. But he's hurt for the rest of the season. And Kevin Durant hurt to the playoffs. Does he get MVP? No. Any other? Let's see. Let's take a look at any other MVPs that could be in consideration. Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard. No, because his team is 38 and 40 something. So no. Kyrie Irving? No. You see my point. The point is simply this. Even though Harden, Westbrook, James, and the like are in that conversation to talk about co-MVP, y'all done lost your damn minds. Just know, there will not be a co-MVP. There should not. Look, I will see the voters going in that direction. It's not, to me, it's not close. It's not close enough to say, okay, Russell Westbrook should win MVP. He doesn't get my vote because his team is 6 versus Houston's 3. So there should not be a co-MVP, and there will not be one because the race isn't close enough.
I'll say this: the race is actually a lot closer than we give it credit for. Yes, I know James Harden is averaging a triple double every night, like like Russell Westbrook, and Matt summed it up very well. Somebody was reading my articles before this. I call Russell Westbrook what he is. He's a stat sheet stuffer. Uh, it's great that he can put up a triple double. No one's done it since that consistently at 41 games since Oscar Robertson. If he gets one tonight, it'll be 42. But the most important thing is this, right? Matt summed it up, basically called Russell Westbrook the doing too much player, right? So, his team is 11 and 29, probably 11 and at least 32 when he doesn't put up a triple double. Now, there have been games when Russell Westbrook put up a triple double and they still lost, right? Because Russell Westbrook is playing on a team constructed for Kevin Durant, constructed for his talents, right? And so Russell Westbrook is a good player, but Russell Westbrook is somebody who turns the ball over too much. Team loses more than wins. They're 11 and 26 when he doesn't score. And I know some people say, well, he's 44 and 20 something. So true. His team is a good team, but they're 6th in the Western Conference, right? As Matt said, that's the reason I give him the MVP award right there. But knowing the NBA, they'll probably do co-MVPs. Not that I agree with it, but because James Harden is having a good season as well, and he's completely shooting. He's got a better shooting percentage than Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is not the dominant player in shooting percentage because he can't shoot. You have all these things. So looking at the actual, what I'm seeing, even though I don't really agree with it, I think there will be a co-MVP just because I think that there will be people who won't want to deny James Harden. And there's enough people who are anti-Westbrook that James Harden will be a co-MVP. That's what I think. Now,
What the thing is this? If you gonna sit here and vote on the fact of you don't like said player, you really and vote out of biasness already. You're voting for the wrong reason. You're I mean, I think this. Look at the body of work. This is what player A did. This is what player B did. This is what player C did. This is what player A contributed to his team. Player B contributed to his team, and so on and so forth.
and just to go off that, this is why I think the NBA. I don't know why they do this when everybody else do their MVPs at the end of the season. This is why I say that the NBA should wait until after the finals to name an MVP. Because there are going to be players like Russell Westbrook could win the MVP, and then James Harden gets upset because he wasn't the MVP, and the Thunder gets swept, and therefore, let's be real, we all know the Thunder aren't making it past the second round anyway. So if they somehow lose to the Rockets, and let's just say they get swept, which has a high probability of happening, right? They wind up swept, right? So then the question will be, because here's my thing. I'm an old school fan, so I'm gonna ask this question because I grew up on watching Michael Jordan and all these other players play basketball. So I'm gonna say it like this: I don't care how many triple doubles you have. If your team gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs or in the second round of the playoffs, it wasn't worth a thing. Like I see people all around here saying it's a great individual season. What do all those individual accolades matter if you lose? Because for real, Peyton Manning was a great quarterback. What do we call him? The greatest regular season quarterback ever. Why is that? Because he only has 2 Super Bowl rings, and all that potential was wasted because he only had 2 Super Bowl rings. And his record.
Also, believe it or not, I will say this. I hate to use this comparison. In baseball, the MVP voting is later this season, but they kind of vote in the middle, but they don't announce it until later. The fact of the matter remains simple. Here in the NBA, yes, it's a great individual accomplishment. That's great. That's wonderful. That's awesome. But the fact of the matter remains simple is simply this. The person who's up for said voting, who's up for said award speaking, did he do enough for his team and take him to a level, say, if he was not there, they wouldn't be there in the first place? Did he make this team better? In my opinion, and I agree with you on the fact that Russell Westbrook, though he made his team a wee better, Durant was the better man. Unfortunately, he's in Golden State. What did Westbrook do? He put up triple doubles. He overcompensated himself. That team was not built for Westbrook. It is what it is. So, to say that he should win it, no, he should not. Does he earn it? The numbers say so, but the body work says otherwise. So, I'm not going to give a set award because he did a great job, put up great numbers. Ooh, good evening. Great job. No, the fact of the matter is simple. Your team is 6. If you were a better player, this team would not be said 6th position. It would be probably 4th. I'll give him 4. Just to be on the nice side. But no. James Harden, that's worth his tail off. So
listen, Matt is being nice. I'm sorry to cut you off. Matt is being nice. No. Yeah, I'm gonna help y'all out, right? If the Thunder get eliminated in the first round or the second round, they're actually, and the numbers back this up, and their record backs this up, because they were a number 2 seed with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook last year, and they almost made it to the Western Conference Finals. They are worse with Russell Westbrook, whether he's putting up triple doubles or not, than they are with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant by himself proceeded to the playoffs, and they got out in the second round, right? And if Russell Westbrook only takes them to the first round, you know what that means? That means that no matter how many triple doubles he has, how many MVPs he wins, the Russell Westbrook will never be anything more, will never be better than Kevin Durant if he does not take the team to the finals. That's it. If he doesn't help the Thunder get to the title, he gets them to the sixth seed and gets them bounced, whether it's in 4 games or 5 games by the Rockets. It doesn't matter. Just plain and simple. The Thunder right now are a worse team with Russell Westbrook than they would be without him. I'm telling you now, there are some teams that it just doesn't work for. That team isn't built for him. And there are some people who are blinded, a lot of people actually, who are blinded by what he does. They don't see that Russell Westbrook, you know, I've been here, I've seen it. Matt and I have seen this movie before, where you have a stat sheet stuffer that has to play beyond their mind to get their team to places that they shouldn't be. And I love Allen Iverson, but he was the definition of this. Somebody who would have to play out of his mind to get his team anywhere. And we loved Allen Iverson for it. But the fact of the matter is, Allen Iverson, even though he is currently in the Hall of Fame right now, right? And he was a stat sheet stuffer. He was somebody who actually made the team, even though everything else would say that the team was better when he was putting up those numbers. He made the team worse because he was a stat sheet stuffer and he had to do everything. I know that's blasphemy, and I'm from Philadelphia. But
I disagree with you on that one. I have to. I'm sorry. That's just as a fan, I have to disagree with you. I'm sorry. Because though he had stat stuffing moments, I will agree with you. But you have to admit, he was one of the hardest people to build around. So I can't say it was all AI's fault. I mean, I'll admit 60% was probably his fault, but the rest is management. Okay, the right players was basically an 0-1 season. But other than that, I can't sit here and let you go this far on AI. Yes, I agree. Pound for pound, best shooting guards in the league, one of the best players of all time. However, it was the way those teams were constructed, basically, and also so much of it was self-sabotage. So there's a whole boatload of factors. But I can't let you besmirch one of the greatest Sixers of all time. I just can't. I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. I'm not besmirching him. I'm saying the same thing. Allen Iverson was a great player, but he was a stat sheet stuffer who had to do too much. That's what I'm saying. He had to do too much. That's why the 76ers only have one finals appearance in this century, right? And that's Allen Iverson in 2001 when he had to do too much. And it's the same thing that's going to happen with Russell Westbrook, right? He had to do too much. He's gonna come across a team led by James Harden who's going to sweep him, or he'll win one game like Allen Iverson did when he was facing the Super Lakers. You know, it's one game. He'll have an iconic moment. He'll step over somebody maybe. He'll get like 5 triple doubles during the whole series. Maybe that's what Russell Westbrook will do. He'll average a triple double during the playoffs. Everybody will be like, "Oh, wow, wow, wow," and it won't matter against Harden because he'll be up against what did you call it? A juggernaut. You know, a juggernaut. That's what's going to happen. Like just the way Allen Iverson did, and Allen Iverson never recovered after having to do too much in the finals. In 01, he had a great career as a Sixer. It's a difference because Allen Iverson never had somebody to the level of Kevin Durant. Maybe it's better to say that Russell Westbrook compares to another person who ran superstars off and later regretted it. Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant was also a good player, a stat sheet stuffer. I love Kobe Bryant, right? He was a stat sheet stuffer, but you know what? Even though he was the ultimate alpha, he knew how to get along, right? Russell Westbrook didn't know how to do that. See, Kobe Bryant waited till Shaq was on the decline to kick him out of LA. But he knew that where his bread was buttered. Russell Westbrook decided I'm going to be an alpha. I'm going to be the ball hog where I actually have the better player on the team, right? And I'm going to run him out of my city. And then I'm going to be the top dog. And I'm not going to go anywhere besides the first round of the play.
I'll be surprised if you're alive tomorrow.
Why? Cause
It'll piss off a lot of Kobe fans, man.
listen. I live to tell the truth. You know Kobe Bryant. I like him. He was one of the greatest players of all time. But let's be real. He ran Shaq off. He, everybody,
Even though
said,
he ran off everybody else, you have to give credit where credit is due. We're in the NBA now where everybody their mom's passing the stinking ball around. But you need a man or a player with that killer instinct to literally take over the game whenever he needs to. Full and darn well, Kobe Bryant was the man. You knew it. Don't lie. You know I'm right.
don't misrepresent what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Kobe Bryant wasn't a good player and not that everybody needs that alpha. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you can be an alpha and get along to get along. I like Kobe. I like his alpha personality. But he didn't display that alpha personality until Shaq was on the decline. That alpha personality doesn't take away the fact that Kobe Bryant would be at least a 6-time, have as many rings as Michael Jordan if he would have waited another year before he ran Shaq off. Right? I love Shaq, right? But Dwayne Wade should really only have 2 rings instead of 3. He won Kobe's ring, right? That's what that was. I love Dwayne Wade. But one of those rings belonged to Kobe. Had he not run Shaq off, that would have been his ring. Let's be real.
I got nothing to say. Look, all I say is simply this: Kobe's Kobe, and to compare Kobe to Russell Westbrook as far as
I'm not
MVP
the only thing I'm comparing to Kobe, to Allen Iverson, and to Russell. Or in both comparisons is this: Russell Westbrook is going to be, if he stays in OKC, he's going to be like Allen Iverson is in Philly. He'll be a guy, right? That's what I'm comparing. I'm comparing the stat sheet stuffiness of Allen Iverson because that's what Allen Iverson was. We all agree. Allen Iverson was a great basketball player, but that's what he did. He stuffed the stat sheet. He did it. I love Allen Iverson. Don't misrepresent what I'm saying. I'm saying Allen Iverson was a great player. I said this in the article that I wrote about him. He's going to be in that Allen Iverson, that Charles Barkley, that Karl Malone mode. He's going to have all the numbers and no rings if he does not shape up. Whereas Kobe Bryant has all the numbers and all the rings. And he owes 3 of those rings to Shaq and the other 2 to Paul Gasol, and then 1 because of himself. He has 5 rings. And he wouldn't have them without help. That is what I'm saying. Allen Iverson wishes he had all that help. Right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else besides the fact that Kobe Bryant is a great player. And he had Russell Westbrook has that alpha personality too. But people display alpha personalities at different times. Kobe waited till he got his 3rd ring and waited till Shaq was on the decline to display that alpha personality. Russell Westbrook displayed the alpha personality with no rings. Just like Allen Iverson. He'll be the alpha, the Charles Barkleys, the players before them, the alphas with no rings. And the only ring they have is their Hall of Fame ring. Now, you may not like the blasphemy that is, but I like Allen Iverson, and I love Allen Iverson. But I gotta be real. He's an alpha with no rings, just like Charles Barkley. Only difference is he's not on my TV every Thursday night. That's the difference. Yeah. Now, am I wrong?
I got nothing. I got nothing. All I'm saying is simply this: we know, growing up, particularly here in Philadelphia, the fact that AI was a scorer. We knew it. We saw it. The thing that the front office of the Philadelphia 76ers, all they had to do was build around said talent. We agree with the fact that AI did run said talent out of here. Now, as far as what Westbrook is doing right now, is he going on that said path? Possibly. But also, believe it or not, it is up to both Westbrook and the front office of the Oklahoma City Thunder to put the right pieces that they need to build around Russell Westbrook to become that perennial MVP candidate that we all know he can be, because we all know full and darn well that this roster that is constructed right now does not help his cause, particularly if you try to make a deep run in the playoffs. Because again, you were what, sixth in the West, so it's they're not gonna go deep. Okay, second round is where they're gonna stop at. Basically, no, they play Houston the first round. It's just end of the day. Oh hell no, they're gonna lose the first round. Screw that. So it's up to those guys in the front office of OKC to get set players and work out set contracts to get the they need to get them deeper into the playoffs, particularly when you just lost Kevin Durant the year before.
All I see again, Matt is being too nice. All I'm gonna say is this: Russell Westbrook, you wanted to be the alpha. You ran Kevin Durant out. This is what you got for the next year and a half to 2 years. You're going to be an alpha, and you're going to learn why Kevin Durant looked around and said, well, listen, this is the NBA. This is what this league is now. What have you done for me lately? I don't want to be like Charles Barkley, Allen Iverson, and Karl Malone. I don't want to be the person with all the stats and no rings. I don't want to be like Carmelo Anthony. Right? Everybody in my draft class got a ring but me. No, this is you were gonna learn, Russell Westbrook, why people like Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley were not one of those people applauding your moves. You see, Michael Jordan, the GOAT, was an alpha, but he had 6 rings and he never ran Scottie Pippen out. Right? You see, most people, I love Michael Jordan, right? This is gonna be more blasphemy. I probably won't be alive, won't be able to show my face around Jordan, Iverson, and Kobe fans. But I'm gonna be real. I love Michael Jordan. Read his biography. I have his posters used to have his posters on my wall. Love Michael Jordan to death. Michael Jordan had Scottie. Kobe had Shaq. Russell Westbrook had Kevin Durant for a while before he ran him out. Right? What's the difference? The difference is the only duo that stayed together for that long, right, was Scottie and Michael Jordan, right? And the only reason Scottie Pippen didn't retire a Bull was because of poor management by the front office. To Matt's point, the front office, right? But Michael Jordan retired 3 times, right? 2 of those times he retired because they played around with his money and he wanted more talent around him, right? So there are certain types of alphas. Russell Westbrook is that alpha in the mode of the Charles Barkley and the Allen Iverson, who is going to be the scoring alpha, but I don't think he has what it takes, or he knows how to use his alpha personality to get good talent around him. Like LeBron James uses his alpha personality because he learned this from Dwayne Wade to get the best talent around him. Right? I don't think Russell Westbrook has that. Russell Westbrook has no rings. He has the triple doubles, but no rings. So he has no leverage in order to leverage his alpha personality.
I think they call that clout.
Right. He has no clout. right? The Oklahoma City Thunder front office could always say, well, we went to the finals and you and James Harden lead the league. Kevin Durant was the only one who showed up for that finals against the Heat, right? Right? They could always say you've been here for 10 years and you only have one finals appearance to your name. Right? And that's the thing. That's why he compares, honestly, even though he still has a long way to go right now, that's why I say he compares very favorably to Allen Iverson. Because if you look at their careers, he'll probably win a scoring title. He'll get an MVP probably this year. And currently, he only has one final appearance to his name. So,
as of Tuesday, April 6th, he has 31.6 points per game and 29.2 is James Harden. So Westbrook looks like he will win the scoring title.
Right. So, again, compares very favorably to Allen Iverson. Scoring title, MVP, and one finals appearance. Am I saying that he's going to wind up being a better player than Allen Iverson? No. All I'm saying is I'm comparing. I love Allen Iverson, but he was a stat sheet stuffer. That's what he was. He was a scorer who stuffed the stat sheet. That's what he was.
I'm still going to disagree with you with that stats sheet stuffing, and I'm still going to disagree because his talent made him a scorer. Basically, he wasn't there to stuff stat sheet. I mean, fine scorer, I will give him that. But the stats, to me, if you don't stuff a stat sheet, okay, and you're talking about Allen Iverson, I expect him 30 points a game, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals. That's stuff in the stat sheet. And he doesn't do rebounds. Yeah, he had triple doubles before, but come on.
You're right.
If AI's going stuff to stat sheet, at least it has to be at least at Westbrook territory. If he was in Westbrook territory, that'd be a freak of nature, okay? But that wasn't the case. In fact, AI was a better defender than Westbrook. If you want to go comparison, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so if you want to talk about stuff in the stat sheet, there's reasons there's stuff in stat sheet because of their talent. I mean, even LeBron James, he could average 25 and 10 assists and probably 9 rebounds, and we wouldn't even blink because that's expected or somewhat expected. We wouldn't even blink. But since it's being Westbrook and he doesn't have set players, what are you gonna do?
Listen. Again, I am saying that right now he compares very favorably. Right now, April 6th, 2017 at 10:58 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm saying he compares very favorably to Allen Iverson. I am not saying that he will be on the level of Allen Iverson by the time he retires. That's what I'm saying. He is a good player. That's it. That's all Russell Westbrook is right now. A very good player. But moving on, because we've been on this topic way too long.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, do your MVP talk. Go ahead and do your baseball
talk. Speaking of MVPs in baseball, boy, the baseball season has just begun, and I couldn't be any more excited than the start of the season in particular. I'm just going to stick with the Phillies right now. They won the season opener against the Reds, which scared the crap out of me thanks to Jim Moore giving up a 2-run home run, but we still walked out of there with a win. Today, Max Scherzer was, Max Scherzer. pretty much lulled the Phillies to sleep until the seventh inning when the Phillies just also woke the bats up and lit up the bullpen. And they came back in the 7-4. Vince Velasquez earlier, 10 strikeouts, but only with 90 some-odd pitches. He was lifted in the fourth inning. So basically, Bryce Harper doing what he does. He worked the count. He hit one out. Daniel Murphy worked the count, hit one out. And Jason Worth, ex-Philly, hits a 3-run shot. That's your 7 runs for the Nats. But believe it or not, to see Vince Velasquez pitch, his stuff was there. I mean, it was a good start nonetheless, but you throw 90 pitches and it's in April, and you don't want to do too much in April because you're not going to win a season in April. It just doesn't work that way, particularly in baseball. So therefore, I understand the limit, and particularly with Scherzer, because if this was July or August, trust me, he would have pitched the whole darn game and we would have been screwed. But the home opener today, well, it was a pretty good game, but Bills fell short. But when Scherzer left the game and you start to see the bats start to come alive, I think this team, and I hope they take this. I hope they take this to heart. I hope they're listening to Matt Stairs, who is the new hitting instructor. I really hope that they don't become the cellar dwellers of baseball in terms of runs scored, run production, runs batted in, on base percentage, batting average, and any other offensive category you can name. Because pitching wise, they're fine. They're fine. But it's the fact that they have to win their games at home. And they go at it again tomorrow. I believe Aaron Nola gets to start tomorrow against Joe Ross. So I'm anticipating how that's going to come out. I want to see how Aaron Nola responds in his first start of the season. So with that being said, let's get some more wins. We need to win a lot more games at home this season because last year they were pressing, being that Citizens Bank Park is a bandbox. So they won 37 games at home last year. I expect them to win at least 41 games at home versus last year. Because it's, believe it or not, it's an easy park to hit home runs out of, but the Phillies cannot press. And oh, by the way, the lineup I see, I'm feeling right now, so you just gotta put it together. That's about it.
All right, moving right along to our next topic. Matt, the 80s are back in 2017. Patrick Ewing is going home and coaching Georgetown. What does this mean, Matt?
I thought they would stay away from this nostalgia thing, but it seems as though that we just can't stay away from it, particularly with John Thompson. So I've thought about this and mulled it over, and we've seen players that have played in the NBA and coach college and done well. Kevin Olly's a third prime example. I don't want to say I'm excited, but for the most part, I am interested to see how he'll take on the task of running Georgetown. The basketball program over the years has been a very historic program, and it's pretty much as at the downtime or at the downside of it. So I'm not saying I'm skeptical, but I am. What's the word I'm looking for? Interested in how this will play out. I'm not saying I'm not a fan of nostalgia, and sometimes it works, sometimes, and most of the time it does not. So we'll see how this pans out and how this works. So I'm interested to see how this play out, but and also how the players will respond. So that's the most important thing in recruiting and everything else that goes along with college basketball and running the program. So I'm interested to see how he will run this program and put Georgetown back on the college basketball map.
Well, my thoughts on this is this. Just in case you were wondering who still runs Georgetown, it is still John Thompson II. And as I said on this program before, John Thompson II still runs Georgetown. The specter of him, much like Michael Jordan was the owner of the Chicago Bulls, the specter of John Thompson runs that program. And so hold on. Whenever John Thompson says jump, Georgetown says how high. And so Georgetown fired his son. Georgetown brings in one of the men that was instrumental in John Thompson II being able to say that he runs Georgetown, Patrick Ewing. That was one of John Thompson's many recruits, Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson, Georgetown. So, you have all that. And, will this bring back will this bring back the 80s? Will this make Georgetown tougher? We'll see. We'll see how Patrick Ewing adjusts to going from NBA to college basketball. We'll see if he can make his tactics, his schemes relate to that. We'll see if he can recruit. I mean, he'll definitely get in the houses now because this is Patrick freaking Ewing. But we'll see, man. I'm like, man, I have a wait and see. Georgetown basketball is historic. It wasn't up to its standards the last few years. It was anemic, especially in the Big East. And if Patrick Ewing can bring back the Georgetown competitiveness, I'm all for it. I have no bones about that. Well, Matt, what you think about unless you have anything else to add on Patrick Ewing, what you think about Ryan Howard not being done with baseball? This is all you for this topic, just for you.
Well. I want to hear your side of it. First of all, him signing a minor league contract with the Braves. First of all, I'm glad that he got picked up. So that's number one. Number two, I think a change of scenery could help. As far as his numbers is concerned, I mean, the man's at 196 with 25 home runs, which is, in my opinion, weird. I mean, you bat 196 and you're beating 25 home runs. You're right under the Mendoza line. For those of you that don't know, anyone that's batting at 200, that's the Mendoza line. But he's going to get extended spring training and everything else. I would like to see him back in the major leagues. Unfortunately, it's in Atlanta, and that sucks as a Phillies fan, but I digress. However, I think a change of scenery could be something that he could and needs. It could revitalize his offensive numbers because they hasn't been the same. They have never been the same in the last I don't know 6, 7 years. Hasn't been the same. Particularly when he first came in the league, it was literally hitting the other way. It was hitting the ball all over the place. Still there. He still produced the power numbers, but it's more of him just trying to get his hitting back together. I think he still can play. He has got another 3-4 years under his belt as far as baseball is concerned. So his career is not over. I don't think it is. I mean, it's just sometimes a change of shimmy could work. And I hope he does well. I know that he'll be in AAA. AAA Gwinnett. And if he, we'll see what happens. So I'm excited for him. So unfortunately, it's within our division. So we'll see what happens.
To be honest with you, I thought that if he got picked up, he would get picked up by his hometown team, the St. Louis Cardinals, which I guess would be worse for you if you're a Phillies fan, because I know a lot of Phillies fans hate the Cardinals for some reason. And you have all that. But it's a little bit worse because he got signed with the Braves. But I'm glad, like Matt said, I'm glad he's getting his chance. But there's nothing wrong with retiring. He has a ring. No one will ever be able to take that away from him. He was a big instrumental piece for us. But I'm glad to see him get a chance. Get a chance to do what it is that he loves. And hopefully he'll get the call up. Hopefully he'll get to hit. Hopefully he'll get some home runs. The season is still young, so definitely there'll be some time for him to be able to do all that. And I'm excited for him. Congratulations, Ryan. I'm a little bit less into this whole rivalry thing in baseball because, to be honest with you, Matt's more the person that pays attention to baseball in the podcast than anybody else. But I'm happy for Ryan Howard.
But and also, like I'll say this, he's not going to be in the minors too long. He won't be in the minors too long because the Braves are terrible. They're pretty bad. So, because I have them to end the season at 5th in their division, so he's going to get called up real soon, real quick. So we'll see him.
Gone in those successful days of the Braves running the NL East. Gone. The 1990s are not coming back in Atlanta anytime soon. What's our next one? Matt, Dallas is the likely destination for the 2018 draft. What are your thoughts? Now before Matt answers, we talked about this a lot off air. I hope he brings that Dallas hate to this on-air conversation. Go ahead, Matt.
It would be great if I had something of some type of medication for me not to throw up and talk about this crap of a draft in all places. Dallas, Texas. I have friends who are from Dallas. I have Dallas Cowboy fans. Usually, I would say this. I don't care where you have it at. You can have it in San Francisco. You can have it in Chicago. You can have it in New Orleans even. And that's my second home, okay? You can have it anywhere. Dallas, I will stomach it 3 years from now. But as a Eagles fan is concerned, and I'm trying not to use profanity here or have a profanity-laced tirade. Why Dallas? Why? Is there Is it because of Jerry Jones is in their pocket or something? There's some type of influence to where as though they wanted in Dallas so badly. You know, if anything, I would have Houston first over Dallas, in my opinion. If not Houston, New Orleans, okay? You'll have a great time in New Orleans, okay? I love New Orleans. In fact, I can't wait to move to Louisiana. But that's another story. The fact of the matter remains simple. It's the fact that you're talking about the Dallas draft in Dallas? The draft in Dallas. You done lost your damn mind. I think simply this. If you want to draft in Dallas, go right ahead. Go right ahead. As long we come out of there like the richest kid on the face here as far as the Eagles are concerned. I don't care what the draft is, but then again, it's Dallas. I'll stomach it. But I hope they don't get it this year. Yes, and Philadelphia is a wee bit of nightmare here. But seeing as though you had it in Chicago twice, can we have it here twice as well? I mean, geez. You want to get out of here so fast? I mean, like, hell, we ain't doing anything to you yet. So, therefore, let me try to set aside my hate right now. It's the draft. Who cares? It's the draft. I don't care if you had it in Timbuktu. I don't care if you had it in London. I don't care if you had it up in the North Pole. It's the draft. But seeing it's going to be they're planning to be either back here in Philly or Dallas of all places. I don't care what the draft is as long as I get what I need from my team so we get to where we got to go and win the Super Bowl and get this season on the way. That's all I'm concerned about. But in Dallas, I have a problem with that. I'm sorry. I mean, such filth, such blasphemy here in Philadelphia. I can understand San Francisco. I can understand Arizona. I can even understand Miami. But Dallas? Keel over. Thought, sir.
Oh, you know they'll never put it in Miami. No one would come to the draft if it's in Miami. People be on the beach, but among other things. But here's the thing, right? As I remarked to you, the draft hasn't even happened in Philadelphia yet. Like the stuff is being built as we speak. I could see if you were considering Dallas after you had it, but the fact that you are looking at Dallas says that you don't expect this to go well in Philly, and it hasn't happened yet. And so I think you should give Philadelphia a chance. And I am a little bit biased because I'm from here, and I fully have faith that Philadelphia will put on a great show. Heck, we've hosted Popes, we've hosted Made in America every year. We host the biggest party for the 4th of July every year. I'm pretty sure we can handle an NFL draft and do it for at least 2 to 3 years. Philadelphia, this is an all points bulletin. I need you guys to show up and show out in a couple of weeks when the draft happens here. We need to show the NFL that there is only one place for the NFL draft, and that is right here in Philadelphia. I don't care if you got to sit next to some Cowboys fans. I need y'all to be on y'all best behavior. I really we need this draft. And I only say this because I've always wanted to go to the draft, and literally I now have a chance to go to a draft. So we need the draft here at least 2 years. Now Chicago, Matt pointed it out so eloquently. If Chicago can host the draft for 2 years, why can't Philadelphia? And to put it in Dallas, well, not really Dallas, outside of Dallas at their practice facility, what are you saying to Philadelphia? That because we're the big city but we still value our sports and our sports teams, that we can't have nice things because, you know, we don't spend $1 billion of public money on practice facilities and big behind stadiums? Nah, dog. Philadelphia, show out. They're disrespecting us already. show up and show out. Matt, you got anything else to add?
I got plenty of but I agree with the fact that, first of all, you have it in suburban Dallas. Suburban Dallas. I have a problem with that. Suburban Dallas versus we're in actual downtown Philadelphia versus suburban Dallas. Think about that. Downtown Philadelphia. Suburban Dallas. Downtown Philadelphia. On the Art Museum. On the Rocky Steps. On the Philadelphia Museum of Art. On the Ben Franklin Parkway. Versus suburban Dallas. That's all I got to say.
He's right, man. Listen, like Philadelphia, we just need to show out. We need to show them that there is only one destination for the NFL draft. That's right here in Philadelphia. All right, moving right along to our next couple topics. They're going to tackle college football and college basketball and some professional in the NFL. Matt, I know you we already kind of touched on this, so we're going to come at this from a different way. Should athletes stay in school for more than 1 year?
It depends on the sport. I agree with football, at least 2 years. I do agree with that. Baseball has its own set of rules. You can be drafted out of high school. You know, you can be drafted at a junior college or community college. You can be drafted anywhere on the ladder. But as far as basketball is concerned, let me start here. First of all, the NBA need to relax their damn rules because as far as I'm concerned, I understand that these players who are 18 years old, coming out of high school, 17 actually, for some younger people, coming out of high school with talent beyond their whatevers, at the same time, this is my opinion, before they enacted that 1 year restriction, teams went berserk over high school, after high school, athletes coming out of high school, and overgrading their talent, a la Kwame Brown. I mean, there are some players who do stand out, i.e. Kobe Bryant's one, Kevin Garnett's another from Columbia, South Carolina. No, wrong player. That's Jermaine O'Neal, excuse me. But Kevin Garnett's another player. Some players who are that talented and can't stand out and survive the rigors of the NBA, that's one thing. And there's some players who say, okay, who actually go to college, actually get a degree or whatever, play 3-4 years, and they come out better athletes, better conditioned athletes than those who don't go to college. Both do have its pros and cons. And also, in my opinion, I think Ben Simmons would have benefited going straight to NBA than playing 1 year at LSU. So with that being said, and we alluded to this earlier, if you're going to pimp out, and I'm saying it the way I'm going to say it, if you're going to pimp out these kids and say, oh, well, they got a full ride scholarship, oh, they got this, they got that, and yet you're collecting damn near, if not a little over $1 billion in revenue, you should pay these players, or at least give them some type of stipend or living expenses or whatever the case may have you, in order for them to stay in school. We all know for those that have gone to college, we know the struggle is real. Not just for books, not just for tuition, not just room and board. No, just trying to live day to day. You know, I'm not saying when I ask you a lot, I'm not saying get the players $1 million a year. But what I'm saying is, athletes in general, yeah, you're giving these students an education by, and the trade-off is you play for state university or college. But at the same time, I'm probably off subject and I can care less. The fact of the matter is, at this point of the game, as much money you get from sponsors, boosters, etc., you have to pay these players. It is, and we alluded to this earlier. You pay these coaches millions upon millions of dollars, and you're not paying these players, or at least give them enough to live off of for this current year. They're on campus, they are studying, and if you look at this, outside of practicing, which is basically a full part-time job, basically, they really don't have much of a life outside of athletics. So, bam. But the trade-off is, do get an education. You do, athletes generally do well, particularly in football and basketball, far better than those who have not come straight out of high school. The only exception is 4-1 players. Now, as far as baseball is concerned, that's different. Baseball players you can be drafted at about 17, 18 years old, and nowadays you have players in Latin America who have camps. I know the Dodgers is one of them. Have camps where you got kids as many as young as 15 years old work trying out in their camps, and then actually getting them ready for the Dodger farm system. So, I know the MLB draft is a whole different story. It's a whole different arena, and their draft is like in June. Their amateur draft, which is very lackluster in my opinion. Who cares? The fact of the matter is simple. College players generally fare better than their non-collegiate counterparts. So they do fare better, but if you want to keep these people, pay them.
So, one of the beauties of doing a live show. Going along with what Matt said. For every LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, there's a Kwame Brown. Players who come out of high school or are one and dones who could use a little bit more polish. There's a lot of these types of players, right? They can use a lot more polish, and that's why I think that they should pay the players, and I think that the product would be a lot better if they pay the athletes, all athletes, really. Now, whether that's a stipend or whatever, that's up to the schools. But I think that people like Ajala Okafor, Joel Embiid, and others would benefit from staying in college more than 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever is needed to stay good, stay prepared and improved on for college basketball. And I think that would lead to a better product. I think that there'd be a lot better things, and you'd have more teams where it would be a rarity to have teams that wind up in the national championship game that don't have a one and done player on them. North Carolina and Gonzaga are a rarity in college basketball, teams made up of juniors and seniors that haven't gone anywhere, but still have an opportunity to be top 10, top 20, top 30 picks. You know, and I think that's great. I think that's really, really good. Uh, I hope, Matt, you there?
I ain't dead yet.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I hope that more players will come through. Like we said, Kevin Garnett. Really, I think it was Dwight Howard was the last year. He was the last person to come out of high school. Well, Dwight Howard and Omar Stoudemire. I can't remember who was the last one, but that was it. And the high school players. I think there's a lot of players. Some are on the Sixers roster currently who should have stayed in college longer. Ben Simmons, I haven't seen him yet, so I can't make that argument. I see him in college. He was all right, but the game still could have used some polish too. We'll see when he plays.
He played overseas in Australia.
I know. There's a lot of people's games need polish. Jallo Okafor, Joel Embiid. So many people's games need polish. It's not 1 or 2 years of college. I really do think, in all honesty, after thinking about it and looking at the current product of the NBA and seeing some of the players that are one and done in the last few years still sit on the benches or go through different things, and seeing that, Karl Anthony Towns and Devin Booker are really the only players from like the last 2 years that ever get a chance to play. I think that, maybe the NBA should, I know Matt's going to kill me, adopt the thing to have that one extra year where they do 2 years instead of three. Require them to stay 2 years. So that way you will have better players and a better product for your professional game. And you won't have people like the 76ers who say, well, we pay these players all this money and they're regressing or they're getting injured. They don't know how to play basketball. We have to teach them twice. Maybe you wouldn't have that if you made players stay more than 1 year. Now that I would add this caveat. I will only accept that if they start paying the players, which, as we discussed on this podcast, will never happen until we give the NCAA an incentive to pay the players. Go ahead, Matt.
What am I to say? I had it in my hand. I forgot it. I hope it comes. But the fact is that, there is. I feel as though if you want product for the NBA, they really, and if doing so, I think you should really grow and expand the D League to turn it into a full-blown minor league system. From my understanding, it's getting to that point, but that's where the NBA is going if it's not getting there. Like the NHL, like baseball particularly, you have rookie ball, low class A ball. If you're lucky, Gulf Coast League, no, Arizona Fall League, Class A ball, Double A, Triple A, and the majors. So you're going through the ranks of baseball, you're getting better, and it does weed out who can play at the major league level and who cannot. And I think the NBA may need to adopt that if they have not, or expand it if they haven't, to make the product better and to make it more competitive, in my view.
True. Moving right along to our next thing. It's time for Matt's humble gloating because South Carolina won something. So go ahead, Matt.
humble gloating. First of all, I give credit to Don Staley because, in my opinion, in the world of basketball, South Carolina can be a wasteland. But to see that basketball program, both the men and the women's, getting some attention is something there. Plus, South Carolina as a state's been getting major hits politically. First of all, let's give kudos to Mississippi State for knocking off UConn. Because if UConn would have played South Carolina, that's a whole different ball game. It was a good game. From what I've seen the highlights, it was a good game. To see that a Philly native helped South Carolina win the set title, I feel great. I feel awesome. It's wonderful, and I was hoping that the men's side would pretty much do the same thing, but fell short Gonzaga, in which that too was a good game as well. So, go Gamecocks. Yes.
Well, congratulations to Don Staley. You represent Pride North Philly stand up, Pride of North Philly, and everything else. And it's great for her, great for South Carolina winning their first title. It's great for them, man. I hope it continues. I'm always with Dawn Staley, and everything else. So, great player, great coach, and everything else. So it is with great pleasure that I say congratulations, congrats to South Carolina for winning their first championship in basketball ever. So it's great. It's great for them. Well, you got anything to add, Matt?
Well, believe it or not, also I have to say this: that it's not UConn, it's not Tennessee. Because when you hear women's basketball, college basketball in particular, it's usually those two programs. So to hear another women's program win the title, also it opens the floor and the floodgates for other programs in women's basketball to say, "Hey, I have a chance."
True. All right, we're gonna move along to our last topic. This is also draft related. Matt, do you trust Howie to make a good draft decision?
I'm very skeptical actually because I feel more confident with Joe Douglas making the decision than Howie at this point. We've seen, they're adding players in the free agent market as we go, and it's more of a short-term one-year deals, which I agree with. As far as trusting Howie with the draft, this is the only year he has to get it right, or he will be fired. Bottom line. So, with that being said,
we hope he gets fired.
He has to get this right. He got it right with Carson Wentz. Good job. This is right with number 14 here. So, do I trust him? I'm skeptical. Is more of wait. Let's see where this goes. Because he makes a good moves. I'm like, okay, fine, all right. Kudos to you. Great, awesome. But he makes the wrong move, and it turns out to be a bad move. This town will have his head for. We're talking. This town will have pitchforks, fire ready for its head. Okay, so he has to make this move. He has to get this draft right. He has to trust his personnel. He has to trust, whoever it is. He has to trust to make sure that the pick is right for the Eagles. Offense is right for Doug Peterson's system, and it also helps for the long-term success of this franchise because we all know this football team is willing to spend this money. Don't get me wrong; they spent more money than the Patriots, and still don't have a Super Bowl title. I don't want to be reminded of it, but the Philadelphia Eagles are very, very committed to spend the money to put the right product in the field at least. They got it wrong with Chip Kelly, but that's neither here nor there. So with that being said, let's see what Howard Rushman can do. Let's see if he gets to get it right. Because if he don't get it right, this town is coming for his head. Bottom line.
Yeah, that summed it up really well. I mean, this is what it is, man. Howie Roseman, this is your first draft in Philadelphia. This is the most pressured draft you're ever going to have, man. This is in the hometown. We expect a lot. We're expecting a running back in the first round or the second round, but the first round. We're expecting to have a wide receiver, a tight end replacement, a left tackle replacement for Peters. We're expecting a lot from you, man. You and Joe Douglas better deliver because I'm telling you right now, if you don't deliver, Joe Douglas will have your job. He'll be the GM. Calling it now. You better do what needs to be done. You had a good start with Carson Wentz. Now give him some weapons. Give us a cornerback. Don't listen to everybody when they tell you to draft a cornerback in the first round. That never pans out. Don't do it. As a cornerback heavy draft, you can get a cornerback. Somebody will fall. Get your running back. Go for short things. This is a draft in Philadelphia. You go for short things. Don't go for projects. Go for short things. This draft is your make or break draft. I'm telling you right now. I've said it on this podcast before. This is your last year, man. This could be your last year or your greatest year. It's up to you what to do. Matt, I'm gonna let you back in.
Draft a cornerback, first round. Do it. No, I'm kidding.
Don't do it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it like you drafted the second coming of Richard Sherman. Don't do it.
Hey, we might get him. You never know. But look, the fact of the matter is, like you said, you're right. This is in our backyard. The draft is in our backyard. And if you get this thing wrong, trust and believe, this town will erupt, go 8, crap, we'll go 8, basically, on Harry Rosen because he didn't do the job that he was paid to do, which was to get the right player for the right position at the right time. Now, personally, would Devin Cook fall at 14? Who knows? But we need the right man for the right job, particularly at 14, who is worth a top 15 pick. Who's worth it? And not just going out and getting whoever, and then it's we're basically dealing with another Nelson Aguilar situation. So get it right, or you will hear it in Philadelphia on the Rocky Steps. And trust me, it will not be good.
Listen, man, you drafted. You got to know by now, man. You were part of the team that drafted McNabb and Westbrook, man. You have to know something. This is your chance to repeat the success. You can get your McNabb. You got your McNabb. Now you just need your Westbrook, and then you already have the hard hitting safety. So you just need a shutdown quarterback, and we're good. And the left and the new left tackle because Jason Peters is not getting any younger. So let's just go, man. Good luck with the draft, Howie. This is your make or break. Because if you don't get this right, you're gonna be the main focus of that quote from Batman where it says you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. If you mess up this draft in Philadelphia, you will become an instant villain. More of a villain than you probably already are. Please have a good draft, man. This is in Philadelphia. Take it seriously. All right, guys. Well, that wraps up another edition of the Crossover Podcast. Sorry for the lateness, but like I said, we're delivering it to you. It is still Friday night, which I think is the first time in a while that we've actually wrapped up on the day that we started this podcast. We usually end by Saturday morning. So thank you guys for listening. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your spring break for my teachers, so my teacher friends and teacher listeners and people who listen to their teachers. Enjoy your spring break. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Thank you so much for listening. Deuces.